Okay, so I want to talk about an experience I had just last couple of days that ended up being, I don't know, kind of a happy accident, silver lining, whatever you want to call it. So I've got a MP9 or a G4 MP9. The MP9 was part of kind of a point of sale kind of kit that HP would sell to folks. And it would have a monitor, maybe a receipt printer, cash drawer, etc. And it tended to be a little lower end just to keep the cost down. So this particular unit had an i3 8100T. Maybe it only came with, maybe 8 gig of memory, a small drive to it, etc. So the last couple of weeks, I've been going through trying to get all of my units upgraded so that it was using the new Microsoft bootloader certificates or for secure boot. And worked great, this methodology. I have a video all on doing it. This particular one, I think I somehow turned off something to do with the secure boot keys. Anyway, long story short, it got to a point where I booted up and it would just beep. No video or anything. And if I took out the battery, tried to CMOS reset, then it would do 2 beeps. And then I could hit return and then it would go blah, 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 and then nothing. So I tried different things. I thought, well, maybe I could reflash it, etc. And then I saw a video that talked about how to clear the password on a G6. And that involved using a jumper wire that you would connect part of like a pin on the BIOS chip, and the other side is just grounded on one of the screw stays. Tried that. Well, then I started getting even more beeps saying that, hey, there's no firmware, etc. So I said, okay, I don't want to get into this. Let's see what kind of motherboard is in here and see if I could maybe find a good price for a motherboard online. I grabbed and I looked for this particular model number here. You can probably see some of it. You type in that, it will come up and it calls it a ProDesk 600 motherboard, which that kind of makes sense because of the fact that, it's a lower end, so more, kind of prosumer. And so they would go with maybe the ProDesk motherboard versus the EliteDesk 800 motherboard. And so it was all said, it was probably going to run, maybe 35-ish, 40-ish. And I would just, pull it out, stick in the new one. And then I remembered that about 2.5 years ago, I bought this. This is an EliteDesk 800 G4 Mini motherboard. And I'm like, oh, well, that's great, except, wait a minute, the holes don't line up. As you notice here, on the MP9, there's kind of like this little, I don't know what you call it, it's just sort of this filled in aluminum thing where one of the holes would be, and then they moved it up. And that's because on the EliteDesk, here's its connector, or hole I should say, and then it's got this extra connector. You use this for the USB-C for one of the Flex IOs so that you can have power delivery. So I'm like, wait a minute. Oh, bummer. I won't be able to use it because it's not going to fit, but sure looks like everything else fits. And then I thought, I wonder if I take this guy out, what does it look like underneath? So to make it a little simpler, we just have one screw. I've got a whole video on swapping motherboards, and it is, the process is very easy. I was doing a couple this morning, and it took me longer putting the fan back in than it did taking the motherboard out. So let me pop this out. And as you'll notice, there's 2 holes. And that's so it can accommodate both kinds of motherboards. And this is awesome because now I could take my EliteDesk motherboard that doesn't have a bias problem, and lo and behold, the holes line up. I was able to put everything back together, and now I've got this kind of funky hybrid, but now I've got an EliteDesk in the place of where I had the MP9. So I wanted to kind of show this as to give you some options. So let's say you get a ProDesk 600 really cheap, but you wanted the EliteDesk because you wanted to be able to use this USB-C with the power delivery. And you happen to find, I don't know, maybe a really good price for just the straight out stripped down motherboard for the EliteDesk 800 Mini, 35 watt. That way you could take out the ProDesk one, stick this in, and it would work. Or the reverse, you've got your EliteDesk and it, fries out, you brick it, whatever it is, and you're like, oh gosh, I really need my computer back. Maybe it's too expensive to get another EliteDesk motherboard. I'll just get a ProDesk. Well, that's fine. You can get it. You're not going to have this connector here, but at least you have your, it's back. All the other components fit and work the same. The Flex IO, the CPU, memory, everything is in the same spot. And now you've got, a working thing. Again, you can sort of mix and match. And that's the kind of the beauty of this. I did double check on an actual EliteDesk, and the underside, or I should say, the underside chassis is the same, has those 2 holes there. This is just very unique to the G4 series. I looked for on the G5. G5 doesn't have any kind of weirdness like this. The holes are still in the place. What they'll do is they just won't have anything here for, like, let's say the 65 watt units. But for the 35 watt, it will be there. So you may not have to worry about the same sort of thing. You can do a little bit more mix and match with it. So I just wanted to relate that sometimes things go wrong, and maybe you just happen to have that right part and you're able to kind of put it all together. I'm happy because I didn't know what I was going to do with this motherboard, because I had looked around just to find the bottom chassis, and number one, it's kind of hard to find. Number two, I'd have to get all the components, all the heat sinks, et cetera, and this way I'm going to transfer them from one to the other, and it's working. And I can tell you that after I put all this back together, I had a working EliteDesk 800, and but funny enough, it still needed to get the secure boot, and it was in the same sort of thing where you can't go in and do the same steps that I have in my video. I didn't want to risk again possibly bricking that one, so instead I booted into Windows. I had to find an old version of Windows 11 that hadn't been updated to the newest secure boot so that it could boot, because my newest that had the newer certificates, this system would say, oh, sorry, I can't boot from that. Anyway, I went through after a number of reboots, finally came up, device security said, hey, you're up to date, you've got the latest and greatest, you're good to go. So at least now I know this is fully upgraded. So let me know if you've had similar experiences, some sort of silver lining, happy accident.